my name. It's horrid.
One of the most fun things about watching movies is the monsters that get made, both digitally, practically, with makeup, just in performances that people do. And today I want to take a look at monsters in the movies and do a ranking of them. So we're going to do that. We got about 39. Yeah, we got 39 monsters to rank. Two things I want to let you know we're leaving off right up at the very top. We're not going to be talking about dinosaurs at all because we have a Jurassic Park tier list already. And then second, we're not going to be talking about kaiju, so like big giant monsters, specifically the ones that are associated with Godzilla. And so, again, have a tier list for that one as well. And so, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and hit this list running. And as we're getting into it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us with reaching the goal of getting to 250 subscribers by the end of the year. Appreciate everybody who has subscribed already. If you've been watching some of our videos, hey, why not do it now? All right, let's get right to it. The first monster on our list is going to be the aliens from the movie Attack the Block. There's going to be a couple different aliens that are going to show up on our list. They've got a cool design where they're black, almost so much so that like you can't see anything about them except for their mouths glow like with a neon green color, and they rip people up pretty good. They're like travel in packs and everything. They're pretty cool, but I don't know if there's anything in them that... No, they are memorable because obviously they're on the list. I remembered to put them on the list. I'm going to put them in C tier for now. I think that, there's not like a memorable specific like one, at least that's sticking out of my brain. It's been a little while since I've seen the movie, but one that sticks out as like, oh, that's the boss one, or that's the one that, they're having to deal with more so than the others. And without like that memorable specific one, it does make it a little more like, oh, you're just kind of like a drone that's running around. But C is good. So I am also going to be trying to keep the tier list even because I think it's easier than just giving a bunch of things high scores. So we're not going to go more than 7 in any one of the different tiers. So next up on our list is Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. Audrey 2 is a plant that feeds on human blood and to grow. It can talk. It is planning on world domination by having its little, sproutlings go out and grow. And in the alternate version of the movie's original ending, it does do that. It gets stopped in the theatrical version because the studio said, we don't really want to have this downer of an ending, even though it's kind of the ending the movie was leading to and everything. Either way, Little Shop of Horrors is like a super fun movie. It's a musical. Audrey gets some great songs, a lot of personality. See, this is like the opposite of what I was talking about with the Attack the Block monsters. There's a lot of attitude and character here with this one, and so and the puppet is fantastic that they made for her. How big it is and how fluid the movement is, just the coordination between all the different puppeteers that it takes to do that kind of stuff is incredible. I'm going to put Audrey 2 in the A tier, at least for now. There's a chance she might drop down a little bit. The Babadook is going to be a next one on our list. And I think the Babadook represents like a different type of horror. Like, a lot of the time with monsters specifically, it's like we're afraid of what is out there and what can come and get us, but not so much like the evil and the bad that we can do. And that's kind of more so what the Babadook does, like with the way it haunts the family and ends up possessing like the mom and everything. Anyway, I mean, design wise and everything, pop culture wise, it kind of took over there for a little bit there when that movie came out. But when it comes to staying power and everything, I think I'm going to be putting the Babadook right above the Attack the Block aliens. Definitely not a movie I like to watch if it's dark, right? So it's effective as a monster. C is not a bad place for it to be. I just have a feeling there's going to be things above it. The Blob is on our list next, and the Blob is from 2 movies, right, called The Blob. There's an older one, and then there was like a remake in like the 80s. And again, I think the effects really sell monsters. The way you see it, what it does, how it does it, and the way that it just kind of absorbs people and then it just like melts you down is like horrific. It's not something at all that I would want to have happen to anybody. And so like there's a part where somebody gets stuck in the blob and somebody's trying to like pull them out of it, and like their arm comes off because they've just dissolved so much inside of there. And so that kind of stuff is, pretty messed up. And the fact that you just you can't shoot the blob. You have trouble getting away from it. You gotta like freeze it and stuff to actually get rid of it. I'm not meaning to do this, but things are kind of landing in what their names are. But I'm gonna put the blob in B tier. Again, it doesn't have personality or anything, so that's going to stop it from going any higher. But it's iconic in like how it is presented, and then it's horrific in the ways that it dispatches of people. And so I'm going to be putting it right there in B tier. The Brundlefly is, or the Brundlefly, I'm going to say it wrong either way, but is actually Jeff Goldblum. So even though we don't have dinosaurs on here, we got some Jeff Goldblum action. In the movie The Fly, there's a guy if you haven't seen it, there's a guy who's working on a teleporter, and he, when he teleports himself from one to the other, there's a fly in the teleporter as well, and so their DNA and everything gets mixed up, and then he slowly turns into this monster. And again, it's more so like what can happen to you, and seeing his body just kind of like degrade as he's turning into this gross thing. His fingernails, he pulls his fingernails off, and anytime there's like fingernail trauma in a movie, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. I think it's one of those heebie-jeebies. I can't believe I just said that. But anyway, it's one of those things that's like, we've all smashed our fingernail or cut our fingers in ways where it messes with our fingernails. So for me, it's just one of those things where when I see it happen in a movie, I can feel it. Like a paper cut. Someone gives themselves a paper, or they get a paper cut in a movie. You know what a paper cut feels like, and so you feel that more. It's a gross thing. As like his final transformation is pretty cool and everything, but like he's really gross throughout most of the movie. I'm gonna put him in B tier too, and I'm gonna go above because he does have a little bit more personality. Using that vomit on that guy's arm too. Goodness, man, that movie is messed up. Now, I did put Pinhead on my movie slashers list, maybe unrightfully so, but I did want to include the Cenobites because, like, they're, I don't know if you want to call them a race of monsters or whatever, but or species, but it's just this group of used to be people who have been like eternally damned to punish people, and yeah, man, they're creepy. Oh, goodness. But they have some weird designs. They're not all great. Like, there's one that shoots CDs. I'm going to keep them in the C tier also. And I'm going to put them... I'll put them above the Babadook. The Crawlers from the movie The Descent. So in The Descent, some ladies go down into a cave, and they're cave diving. And they're going through there and they get lost, and then there's these like monsters that live down in the cave. And the idea that something, and like the cave monsters like don't really see either, right, because it's pitch black, so they use other ways of like finding their prey and everything. And the idea of being so close to something but not knowing it's there, and if you make the wrong move then it knows you're there, is a scary thought. But these guys, like in design and everything, don't really do a lot for me. I'm going to be putting them down in D tier. They're just like cave people, right? And that's where they're going to land for me. The Creeper from Jeepers Creepers is cool because there's like a lot of lore associated with him, and I really like it when there's like backstory to stuff. Like that's really how I got into horror, was not watching movies so much at first, but I would find out about something and then want to know about it. So then I would go on Wikipedia and read about it before I would watch the movie. Like I read all of the plot synopsis for the Saw movies on Wikipedia well before I ever watched any of those movies. But anyway, so I like lore, and the fact that this thing only comes out like every like so many years, I think like 20 something years, and then it rests, and then it comes out for like however many days it is, and it takes body parts from different people and takes Justin Long's eyes, and you know, in the second one it's like flying around this school bus and taking these people out, and but it's not stupid, so like it drives a truck and everything and can talk and imitate voices, and it's just a cool design and everything. I just, it works for me. And anything that all of a sudden can just have giant wings, I like that. I think that maybe it's because it makes me think of Batman. There's a shot in Batman Returns where Batman does that. He's just got wings all of a sudden. I'm gonna put him, because we're just going off of how much I like these monsters, how cool I think they are, and scary, effective. I'm gonna put him in B tier, right there. The critters from the movie Critters. They're from outer space. They're more organized and everything than their Gremlins counterparts. At least it feels like. And they're getting hunted by like some bounty hunters and everything.
Where did they come up with this stuff?
And they like to eat stuff. They got big teeth. They got a good look. Their hair is crazy. Their teeth are awesome. Their eyes glowing red like they do is cool. I'm going to put the critters in... Goodness, guys. I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to have to be moving people. I'm going to put the critters in... Oh, gosh. The critters are going to have to go down in D tier just because I know they're going to get down there eventually. Cyclops are going to go down into D tier also. I put them on the list just because like show up in a lot of different movies, but I can't think of like, besides the Ray Harryhausen old one from like the old Clash of the Titans, maybe it wasn't Clash of the Titans, maybe it's a different one, which would speak to my point even more so that like I don't have a specific Cyclops that I think of when it comes to movies, except for like the X-Men Cyclops, and he's not a monster. So yeah, they're gonna be D tier. Kind of a cool idea. It's just like a giant guy with one eye though. Maybe I'm missing something about a Cyclops, like something I just forgot that they do. So yeah, they'll be in D tier down there for me. These guys are called the Death Angels. Now, they don't actually ever get called that in the movie. Just a newspaper article calls them that. And these are the monsters from Quiet Place. They kind of just look like a lot of monsters that are around today. They look like the Cloverfield monsters and everything. And they don't have eyes. They listen to sound. And so, yeah. That's cool, right? And they got giant claws. But, I don't know. I feel like I've killed a million of these things in video games over the last like 15 years. Not these things specifically, but things that look like them. I do like... I'm going to put them in D tier. They're pretty new too. Like, so, I know it's kind of hard to put something that's new too high on the list, right? Without it being something real big. Now, granted, I do like those movies a lot, but just the monsters themselves... Nah. The idea of the monster, like the threat of it, like in your mind before it actually shows up, sure. I mean, I'd be so dead from any of these things. Even like, let's see, anything that wouldn't kill me on the list so far. I guess maybe the Babadook because he's maybe just not actually real and a manifestation of grief or whatever. So, yeah, sorry if that hurt your feelings, but Quiet Place monster guys are going to go down a little low for me. I've got demons on the list, on my monster list. Now, I have not watched, like, the quintessential exorcism movie, The Exorcist, yet. I will be watching it for a video next week. Mostly because I think that demons are maybe like my least favorite kind of monster, and it's because I actually get scared of that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I'm gonna put them up in S tier. I'm sure I'll have more to say about that next week. So, but yeah, I think that it can be done. I mean, it's a cheap monster to do, right? Because you don't have to really go out and build anything. It's usually just some makeup on somebody's face. But for me, like your bang for your buck, it's an effective use of your money. So yeah, that's gonna go there for me in S tier. I'm gonna put our next guy down in the F tier. It's the Djinn, or he's like a genie from Wishmaster, right? And when it comes to him being a monster, like he's got an okay design, like kind of in the same way that we've seen a lot of the Quiet Place monsters nowadays. Like he just kind of looks like the 90s to me, right? He's kind of looks like the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers, and there's other ones like that too. And like the twisted wishes that they could get granted and everything. I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't know. Doesn't really work for me. Like the idea of a monkey's paw and stuff is more exciting. But, all right, so there's an F tier for you. I'm sure that one will disappoint somebody. Dragons are on the slate next. Here's the thing. Dragons are pretty cool. Like, I mean, I've mentioned dragons before in my Harry Potter video. I've mentioned them in our apocalyptic future video. We talked about the movie Reign of Fire, where dragons have like shown up again on Earth and are just kind of running around and killing people. And, you know, sometimes you wonder if things are overplayed, but I don't think that they are. Smaug is a cool dragon. Okay, they're going to go up into A tier. I'm trying to think what the go-to dragon for me would be. I think it would be Sean Connery from Dragonheart. So I guess even though he's a monster, he's not a bad guy. Frankenstein's monster, or the monster, is up next on the list. I think he's got to be an S tier. When it just comes to like, I don't know, being iconic, right? Being one of the things that you think of when you think of a monster. And I don't know, also the idea of like becoming the monster, like your body being used for something like that. This, of course, is one of those movies that asks the ultimate question, right? Is the real monster man? Who is the true monster? But then, like, in the sequels and everything, it's like, well, the monster is Frankenstein's monster because he's a scary looking one. Just a lot of cool looks for Frankenstein also over the ages. You got the Universal one. You've got the kind of updated version they did in Van Helsing. Monster Squad has a great Frankenstein's monster. You got Aaron Eckhart playing I, Frankenstein, a movie which I did not go watch. Let me know. Should I go watch I, Frankenstein? I would need a recommendation for that to ever happen. But yeah, S tier for sure. Ghosts, again, kind of like demons, but not as bad, like, right? I mean, they kind of can be interchangeable in movies and everything. But like anything in Ghostbusters, right? You count that as a ghost. And there's some cool ghost designs in those movies. The Scoleri brothers. Who got tried for murder.
I tried them for murder!
Given the electric chair.
Gave them the chair!
Come back and destroy the courtroom. Good stuff. Man. Yeah. Ghosts. And Slimer, right? Slimer's a ghost. Maybe I should have just put Slimer on the list by himself, but I didn't. So ghosts will have to stand in for Slimer and be an A tier. The Gill-Man, like Creature of the Black Lagoon, is, I don't know if he kind of feels like a step down from the big iconic monsters, right? Like he gets included when you just need to have an extra guy. but I'm going to put him above. He's an A tier, but he's going to be lower A tier. Yeah. I mean, he's got a great look, but it's just one fish guy, right? It doesn't have like supernatural powers or anything like that. So, I mean, and even in Monster Squad, he gets just shot with a shotgun. So, yeah. We get another F tier. This is going to be the lowest for us. These are the Goblins from Trolls 2. And, yeah, they are bad. That movie is so bad it's good. If you haven't watched Trolls 2 and like so bad it's good movies at all, I highly recommend it. For starters, it's funny that in Trolls 2, it's goblins that they're fighting.
Bog! It's goblins spelled backwards!
And then the fact that they're just people running around in like brown sweatshirts with really cheap masks on. Good stuff. I love it. But not effective as monsters. So, yeah, they're going to be F tier, but it's a loving F tier. Not like the Djinn, where I'm just like, more like, yeah, more of this, please. The Graboids from Tremors, they're like the big slug guys. They got tentacles that they shoot out, and they grab you. I mean, I love these guys. Those movies are fun. And Kevin Bacon's like in the first one, and then the dad from Family Ties is in the other ones, right? And him and Reba McEntire are blowing away that one that busts into their house. Good stuff. They are, I think, unique, right? You don't see a ton of slug, caterpillar, worm monsters, and so that gets you extra points. Plus, they got a fun name, Graboids, and they even talk about naming it in the movie. Put the Graboid in the B tier above the Creeper. Gremlins are going to go up into the A tier for me. I'm going to include Mogwai with Gremlins. If you got to include both, you got your Mogwai, they're super cute, and then the Gremlins are still kind of cute, right? I mean, but they're nasty and they're just mean spirited and they're out to cause havoc, and they look cool. And then you include the ones from Gremlins 2, where they get different DNA like spliced into them. You got the spider ones and gargoyle ones and ones that want to kiss people. So, I mean, some of them are scarier than others. And I do think that they're like one of those designs that, you know, have like not only stood the test of time, but almost get better. Like the more that it's around. I've got the Hydra from Hercules on the list as well. I mean, it's not just from Hercules, right? It's from Greek mythology. But I have the version from Hercules because that's my favorite version of it. That's a cool part of that movie, using the CG and everything. I'm going to be putting them in C tier. Yeah. Not much to say about that Hydra. Going to be right there. In the movie, It Follows, what happens is there's essentially like a sexually transmitted disease that is like a ghost that's out to kill you. And so, yeah, you can kind of see the analogy that they're making with that one pretty easily. But it is a very effective threat, right? You think about how scary it is to have people not believe you. I don't know if you've ever had that kind of situation where you're trying to convince someone that something happened and they just don't believe you at all. And that's what would be happening here, because the person who is being chased by this entity, or the it of It Follows, is the only person who can see it. And so that makes it so no one else can see it or really stop it or anything. And it's just relentless. And it's coming after you. It doesn't run or anything. It's just slow, and it knows eventually you're going to mess up and it's going to get you. And those are some pretty scary thoughts. Now, again, it doesn't really have a design or anything. It takes the shape of random people so that like you don't even really know where it is. So like it's not like I could look at a picture and be like, oh man, that thing from It Follows. I mean, you could, because you recognize the actors or whatever who portray it in the movie, but you know, the idea of it alone is enough to get it at least kind of high. I've been putting the B tier for there. The shark from Jaws is going to be another S tier for me. I mean, it's so effective as a monster because, one, sharks are real. Is it an accurate representation of what sharks are like? No. Did it do a lot of damage to human-shark relations in the long run? Oh, definitely. But it is effective in being a scary monster because it stopped people from wanting to go do things that they liked to do, right? People did not want to go swim anymore because of this monster. Plus, it's nice when you have a theme that goes along with your monster too, and the way that they don't show it all the time, but when they do show it, it is effective. I made a whole video talking about Jaws, and man, that movie is great. If you haven't watched it before, I definitely recommend it. The Kraken is another thing that shows up in a couple different kinds of movies. Again, we get like the Clash of the Titans and everything. To me, when I think about the Kraken, I think about Pirates of the Caribbean, so like the big squid one that like destroys ships, and you don't ever really get a good look at it while it's alive. The best view you get of it is when it's, finally been killed in the last one and it's like stranded on the beach. Oh gosh, it's not obviously not a D or an F tier, right? Because when you know the Kraken's coming, again, with the musical cue, a lot like with Jaws, but then also when they like summon it and it's on its way, those are effective and they build the tension and everything. But I don't think anything about it is enough to get it up into B tier. I'm going to put it right there in C, right below the Hydra. Now, I love the movie Krampus. I'm sure I'll talk about it some in December when we'll be talking about like unconventional Christmas movies. But as a horror movie, like it's pretty fun, right? It's not super scary. I think it's only rated PG-13. Same guy who did Trick or Treat, which I've already mentioned this month, is like one of my favorite Halloween movies. And the Santa or the Krampus in that movie is, cool looking. He's got like goat hooves. He's towers over everybody. He's got huge horns. He's like wearing a mask that is somebody's face. You get cool shots of him like jumping super far. Man, I really do like him. I'm going to put him, I think I'm going to go C tier, but I can't go that high. Can I? Yeah, I can. I'm really going to be in trouble a little bit later. I know. Okay, here we go. Leprechaun. Here's one we can put down a little bit lower. Now, the Leprechaun movies are fun in that they're cheesy and everything, but not super scary, right? And as a monster, not that great. So I'm going to be putting him down into the F tier. Medusa is another classic one. She looks at you and turns into stone. She's got snakes for hair. Hasn't been used super great lately, I feel. But, is iconic. But I'm going to put her down here in D still. Not one of my favorites. Mummies are another one that have been given a ton of different interpretations. What's my favorite mummy? I don't know, probably from The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, right? That's probably my favorite one. Imhotep. But you get cool mummies in like Monster Squad and everything. But they're slow and shambling. Goodness. Am I going to put a mummy that low? I am. It's not for lack of trying, but they're kind of like a joke even, right? That's it. They get rid of the mummy so easy in Monster Squad even. Down below. Now, Pennywise is one that definitely took like the pop culture by storm and is now just a staple of Halloween. Always at like the Halloween stores, always going to be costumes available for him. He kind of was before with the TV miniseries, but with the newer version that just came out not too long ago, even more so. I'm going to be putting him because he can transform into your worst fears and everything, and he wants you to be scared before he eats you. I'm going to put Pennywise right here in A tier. The Predator is like an alien that travels around and wants to hunt different species. And they are super cool looking. I always consider them more like an action threat, like not really a horror movie. Though I guess he does do some pretty horrific things to people. Goodness. I'm going to put him in the top of B tier. He is like got an iconic look. There's like a whole bunch of them. They get to do different things in the movies. We've seen them be good. We've seen them be bad. And I think I feel okay about that one. I love the Predator, though. Predator's awesome. Sam from Trick or Treat. Oh, gosh. Like I said, I love this movie. And I don't want to put him too low. But he's not like that scary of a monster. Okay. He's going to be bottom of C tier. But I put him there with love. Right? Love you, Sam. Great mascot for Halloween. I'm glad that he's showing up in more places when it comes to like the Halloween stores and in decorations and everything. I hope that will keep up. Because he's like fun, right? He's not too scary if you just look at him, right? He's not like scary at all if you look at him. But he definitely just screams Halloween. But underneath that mask, he does have that spooky pumpkin face, and is a stickler for the rules. And so I'm gonna put Scarecrows because there's a lot of different times there's been haunted Scarecrows that have come to life and everything. Down in F tier, I know that they're spooky for some people, but for me, Scarecrow will always be a Batman villain, and that guy's definitely not a monster. Well, I guess he is a monster, but not in this kind of list. Now, I did mention ghosts already, and so we included some of that Ghostbusters stuff, but terror dogs are also in that, the representation, the bringers of the end and everything, the gatekeeper, the keymaster. I'm going to put them in B tier. I'm going to go right below the Predator. It looks like they're coming back in the next one. We'll see in like a month or so. Like maybe some of my favorite stop motion stuff that is in movies, them like running around and everything. The puppets again are huge and cool, and I love big animatronic stuff like that. Speaking of practical animatronics that are awesome, the Thing from The Thing is going to be an S tier for me for sure. It's going to be right up there, right below Frankenstein. So many different crazy designs, and the fact that they made all of these things, and it was all done without computers. And then they made one where they used computers, and it didn't look as good. And just gross. This movie is gross, and I love every second of it. So The Thing gets up there for me, S tier. Trolls are going to be in D tier. I'll put them above a Cyclops, because at least they're like not just a person with one eye. I don't know. They can squash you, and so that's not good. But being able to just have them get rid of them by having them be in the sunlight. I'm gonna let Dracula represent all vampires, and so he's in the top of my list. You can make a whole list just of vampires, but the vampires go that high because of Dracula. I just love like the boss. He is like in charge of like almost every other monster, and I just like that. I like that he is like control over them, and that he has got this overpowered, like that he's overpowered. I love an overpowered bad guy that you have to figure out how to get rid of him, and so Dracula is like the classic one of those. Plus he can shapeshift, and the fact that he can like manipulate you into wanting to do what he wants you to do, and the fact that he can go from like suave and cool to scary so quick, another great thing. Countless interpretations of the character, they all lead to him being, at least in my opinion, top of the heap. Wolfman or werewolves are going to be top of the A tier. Again, lots of different interpretations, cool transformations. That's always one of the best parts of a werewolf movie, is seeing what they're going to do transformation wise, and they have done some cool things over the years. And so Wolfman is going to be up there for me. I like seeing a cool Wolfman one. Best transformations, obviously going to be American Werewolf in London. And then I do like, again, in Van Helsing, how they like rip off their skin. I guess it's similar also to how the werewolves work in Trick or Treat. So the Xenomorph from the Alien movie series is going to be right below the Thing for me. No, right above the Thing for me. The fact that it bursts out of you, how once it is inside you, there's like no hope. It does not come out, is a scary thing too. Acid blood, man, just look at them. Like, they're just creepy, scary things. And the fact that one of them is enough to be a threat, but then in the next one they up it and there's like 100 of them, like thousands of them. Then you've got the alien queen even in there. Just super, super cool. Face huggers. I guess we can just include everybody, right? Face huggers. It's just a great design. H.R. Giger did like enough work to be remembered in like the art world just by doing this, and they did a ton more than that even. And then the last monster I have on our list is the zombie. Zombies are going to be S tier. Now, you could feel like maybe they need to get knocked down because they've been overdone, right? But they're overdone because they're effective. I think the fact that we could all become this monster is just part of the fear of it, right? And then the fact that it brings out the worst in everybody around you too is just, good and effective as a monster. And that's going to be my monster tier list. Did I leave any monsters off? Let me know in the comments. Did I put anybody in the super wrong spot? Let me know in the comments. Please, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like it. That really does help me out. And if you have been watching some of our videos over the last couple of weeks, or last couple of days, or today, or whatever it is, if you could subscribe to the channel, it's going to help us reach that 250 that we're trying to get to before the end of the year. Thank you so much for watching the video. We'll see you next Saturday with our next one. Until then, take care.